Welcome, everybody, to the Heal Your Hunger show. So happy to have you here. It is a great day to be alive, and I'm going to share something today about how to be more alive. Would you like to know how to be more alive? And you might be thinking, well, you're either alive or you're dead. It's kind of like you're either pregnant or you're not. But no, that's not the whole story. You can be more alive, I promise. Before I get into that, I just want to say, if you're not in the Secret Sauce group, please jump in there now. The Secret Sauce to End Emotional Eating Now. I'm going to be sharing some really cool stuff from my trip to Europe, which is coming up very soon. And I am traveling to Europe with my partner, and I'm super excited. You know, I have not traveled a lot in my adult life. I had a former partner, aka a husband, who didn't like to travel, did not like to travel. And I don't know if you've ever had the experience of kind of letting somebody else in your life, their personality and their choices sort of dictate your own. I know no emotional eater has ever had that experience. Kidding. So I did that. You know, my partner didn't like to travel, had issues with traveling, and so we did very little of it. And then I woke up at age 50 and thought, what am I doing? I like to travel. You know, I have the freedom to travel. What the hell? And that was probably part of my waking up to the fact that I was in a relationship that really wasn't the right fit for me. And so fast forward, I got divorced. Fast forward, I met my partner now, and he's from Europe and is a traveler and an easygoing traveler like me. So I'm headed to Europe for a month, and I'm actually holding a retreat in London called the Heal Your Hunger Retreat, and it's going to be for 8 women, and it'll be very intimate, and it'll be at my temporary home in London. And my partner, who's an amazing cook, is going to be making meals for us. It'll be 2 days. You'll stay at a hotel or Airbnb and come visit at both days. And we will deep dive. We will deep dive and help you get on a road of healing your relationship with food. So if that is something that interests you, please reach out right away. Let us know. We're not advertising this, but I'm just reach out. Write to us from our website, healyourhunger.com. You can write questions at healyourhunger.com and say, hey, I'm interested. But do not delay. If you're hearing this right now, just write to us right away. Okay, so on with the show. Do something scary. So that's the topic of this show today. And the reason why it occurred to me to do a show on this is because this is kind of my philosophy of living. I have to walk through my fears. Friends, one of the outstanding characteristics of emotional eaters is fear. Fear. Just being a big old scaredy cat. And I'm no stranger to fear. I mean, this is the way I got to be 50 pounds overweight by age 21. I was terrified. Life scared the bejesus out of me. I was scared of life. I was scared of my shadow. You know, I was scared of tough conversations. I was scared of being embarrassed. I was scared of being rejected. I was scared of being alone. I mean, you name it. I was scared of big waves on a boat. I was scared of practically everything. And you wouldn't know it by looking at me. I lived boldly. I did some kind of cool, bold things in my life. But I was petrified. And so I used food to numb the fear so I could do scary things. So I did some scary things, but I was numbed out on sugar and carbs. Do you relate to that? Do you relate to using food to bolster you so you can walk through things you're afraid to do, scared to do? Well, that was me. And that's one way to live. Okay, that's one way to live. But I promise you there's a better way. You know, if you're wanting to lose weight and keep it off, my experience is you're going to have to find new tools for living life. And I often tell my clients, what you have is not a food problem, but a living problem, right? Because it's the living part that causes us troubles that we turn to food to help us get through. So it's not really an eating issue, it's a living issue, and it's a living issue that drives us to eat so we can better live. Not that we're living better, right? We're, grumpy and grouchy and bitchy and snappy and depressed and anxious and all these things when we're eating and hating on ourselves for putting on weight. So we're not living better when we're eating, but we're using food to just get through things that we think we can't handle without the food. Yeah, we use food as a coping tool. That's what emotional eating is, using food to deal with uncomfortable, intolerable emotions that we've deemed intolerable. So fear is a big one. Fear is one of those emotions that we run to the kitchen and say, what can I grab to eat? Fear is one of the emotions that feels intolerable, feels like we're never going to get through it. So if that's something you relate to, and you might not realize it, so that's one of the reasons why I even have this show, is I want to just drop little seeds and see if you relate to what I'm saying, see if they germinate. Oh, there's a connection between my feelings and my eating. Okay? And it takes time to wake up to this. When we're on the diet hamster wheel, like, what's the next diet? How can I do keto? How can I intermittent fast? How can I, turn vegan? Will that be the next answer? How can I get on Ozempic, weight loss medication? How can I do the things that can, get me results fast? When you're on that hamster wheel, you're not making the connection between your emotions and your eating. You're just grasping at straws for some way to fix yourself. But nothing will be fixed if you go that route. Nothing will be fixed. Why? Because it's not going to fix your relationship with food. It's not going to help you deal with uncomfortable emotions. And the minute you go off the diet, the minute you go off the medication, the minute you let go of whatever that temporary fix is, you're going to be back to medicating your feelings with food. So even though it may not be so sexy to deal with your emotions, because I know it's not, to me, this is the lasting way. To me, this is the way you are going to reach your goals. It's not a quick fix. It's a way of living that works. And it will work ongoing if you build these tools, if you practice using new tools to face life instead of turning to food. So fear is a big one. It's so afraid. But what I do now, I do all kinds of things. You guys know about the self-care secrets if you read my book or you're in my program. Okay, the 6 self-care secrets are new tools, meditation, prayer, reading, writing, spiritual literature, talking out your fears, going for a walk, kind of letting out some steam, de-stressing through really healthy forms of exercise. So these things can help you move through fear. Writing is great. I dump my fears on paper when I'm really in a twit. When I got my panties in a knot, I put it on paper, or I like to type on my computer. But just even dumping the fears can help them lose their power. But what I don't want you to do more than anything is let the fear win. I do not want you to let the fear win. Okay? When you let the fear win, the fear gains ground. It's just like in war, If the troops retreat, because there's a whole lot of fire, the other side's going to win. They're going to keep moving in on you, and you're going to keep retreating until you've lost. And that's how fear works. It's a big bully. It will keep moving on you, gaining ground if you let it. So what we have to do is we're not going to, bust through the fear with willpower, but we're going to address the fear, write about it, talk about it, pray about it, acknowledge it. Acknowledge the fear. Fear is underlying so many of our behaviors. Most of all, our eating. So address the fear, get help to deal with the fear, but keep gaining ground in overcoming the fear. So what does that look like? as much as possible, I do things I'm afraid to do. Okay? I do things that I think I can't do. And I have a voice in my head still to this day that says, oh, I can't do that. Oh, that's too big. I can't do that. Oh, I don't have what it takes to do that. So I've got that negative self-talk. I got that voice that says, oh, that's too big. But I notice it. I notice it and I call it out. I say, oh, yeah? Really? Is that true? And it's not true. Okay? And I have people in my life who remind me it's not true. You got to have good people in your life. You got to have people who can reflect to you who you really are. One of my favorite sayings is, don't tell God how big your problems are. Tell your problems how big your God is. And that stands for fear as well. Don't tell God how big your fears are, and therefore you can't do it. Tell your fears how big your God is, and therefore you can do it. So there's no question I need God's help to do the things I'm afraid to do. As I said, I'm not using willpower. I'm not bowling through things I'm afraid to do. I lean on God. I get on my knees and I pray. God, help me. It's too big for me. And it makes all the difference in the world. So prayer is so key. Writing out the feelings is so key. Talking them out, getting reflection back from people who love you and know how capable you are when you forget. So important. But the key is keep gaining ground. Do not let the fear win. The fear will take over if you do. And your life will get super small. And that's true for like travel, right? If you're afraid to travel, if you're afraid to get on an airplane, the longer you stay off an airplane, the longer you stay at home and don't go out, that claustrophobia, right? That agoraphobia, if you've got that, that's going to take over your life and make your life very small. So that's just an example of a fear, of a phobia. So we have to keep moving forward, keep gaining ground by all means possible, okay? Otherwise, the fear will win. Fear is a total bully. It will bully you until you're afraid to go out of your house, literally and metaphorically. So I'm here to say, don't let the fear win. Keep doing scary things and realize that you can. I love doing it. I love, being like, hey, I'm going to try it. Be willing to fail. It's okay if you fail. It's okay if it doesn't go as well as you plan. I in most things I do, I'm kind of mediocre. I don't knock it out of the park most of the time. I don't have big wins, but I gain ground, and I'm okay with that. So I'm not harsh on myself. If I tried, if I walked through some fear, if I did something new that I haven't done before, I'm like, go Trish. Go Trish. And I want you to say that about yourself if you try something new, if you do something you're afraid to do, but if you gain ground on the fear. So that's my very short and very sweet and very important message for today. Do scary things. Just keep walking through it, one foot in front of the other, one day at a time. I want you to be free. I want you to be more alive than you've ever been. And you get more alive when you bust through fear. So every time we face our fears, every time we gain ground on fear, we get stronger and the fear gets weaker. And you live one more day a little more alive. I love you so much. I want the very best for you. You deserve to be free.